got that? We're gonna try our best tonight. We made it 3 for 3. We can do it one more time. All right, let's start with Tim. We'll work our way down. And the next question, we'll work our way back to Tim. Cool. All right, first question, Tim. Introduce yourself. Tell us about your current position, the office you work in. Can you please describe your educational background and what other credentialing you had to get your position?
Right. My name is Timber Smith, and my current position is I'm special assistant to the mayor for community, culture, and belonging for the city of Appleton. I work in the mayor's office. My educational background, I'm a hardcore Titan here. Double Titan. So I got my BS in sociology. Right there. And I got my MS in educational leadership and policy.
So I'm Beth Oswald. What?
Current position.
Yes.
Supervisor.
Okay. Under the capacity tonight, I am a town supervisor for the town of Black Wolf. Criteria to get that, it's elected, so know a lot of people, canvass your neighborhoods. I think you need a high school education, maybe.
Be likable.
Be likable, maybe. I'm a Titan as well, criminal justice, business minor. No woo-hoos. Okay, wrong crowd. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Molly. I'm here in the capacity of autopsy technician and medical legal death investigator. I work for the Fond du Lac County Medical Examiner's Office. I was also a grant writer program coordinator here in Winnebago for the District Attorney's Office, so I can answer any questions about that as well. I am a fellow Titan alum, anthropology and French background, and a master's in osteoarchaeology.
Yes, we're standing. Hi, I'm Ashlee Rahmlow. I'm the Community Health and Prevention Supervisor at the Winnebago County Public Health Department. I have a master's in social work from Washington University in St. Louis, and I am licensed as a clinical social worker. I'm not going to totally follow your rules because I think it's important to mention that I'm a little bit unique in that you do not need to be a licensed clinical social worker or a social worker at all to work in public health. I'm actually the only one in our department of 50 people. And so I just want to mention that there is a really broad range of career and educational backgrounds in our department. We have folks with environmental sciences, we have nursing degrees, we have people with dietetic degrees, we have people with public health degrees, public administration, many of which have master's degrees in public administration, and several other degrees. So public health is, in our department especially, is as unique in our educational backgrounds as we are in our work and role.
My name is Maya. I'm a social worker for Outagamie County. I work in the mental health division. I work the community support program through Outagamie County. So I'm working with individuals who have severe and persistent mental illness, such as like schizophrenia or bipolar. I got my undergrad from UWO, and then I went to UW-Madison for my master's degree, and then I had my advanced practice social work license.
My name is Joe Bungers. I'm head of adult services at the Oshkosh Public Library. I've been working in libraries for about 30 years, public libraries for 27 years. I'm sorry I did not attend UW Oshkosh, but I did once work on the UW Fox Cities campus.
No, that's nothing. They're part of the
I have an undergraduate degree in history from UW-Madison and a master's degree in library science from UW-Milwaukee.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tyler Claver. I'm a management analyst with the Oshkosh Parks and Events Office or Division within our Cultural and Community Engagement Department for the city. My educational background is I got my bachelor's here at UW Oshkosh, also my master's in public admin. I've only been within the role here just for about a year. Prior to that, I've worked in student services here at the campus as well for the last 5 years. Some of you who are probably maybe juniors or seniors might have noticed me over in the reunion advising student government and student allocations. So that's me.
Tyler responds to all my emails when he was working here, and yeah. Not that. Go ahead.
My name's Emily Rock. I'm the Assistant Director and Chief Curator at the Oshkosh Public Museum. My educational background, I have a BA in history from UW-Madison and a master's in public history and certificate in museum studies from UW-Milwaukee. My path to museums is history, and we're mostly a history museum, but obviously there's a lot of different types of museums, so there's many different types of paths to the museum field. And I'm here because actually the Oshkosh Public Museum is a department of the city of Oshkosh. So sometimes museums are municipally funded or federally funded, you know, are government entities as well.
I'm Amy Geffers. I'm a supervisor for Winnebago County Human Services. I currently supervise MHTs, which are mental health techs. One happens to be here tonight. They deliver medication to our consumers. I also supervise State Street Center, which is a drop-in center for people with substance use and mental health issues. And I also supervise peer support, which is an individual with lived experience that works alongside people who have substance use and mental health disorders. My degree is in social work from UWO, and I also have licensure in substance use. I have an independent clinical supervisor licensure that allows me to do the peer support part of it. And then also I am our prevention specialist for the county.
Hi, I'm Heather Foust. I'm the behavioral health manager for Winnebago County Human Services. So I am also an alum. I have my bachelor's in social work from UWO and then my master's in social work from UWO. And then after that, I also received my clinical hours. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker, can provide therapy to individuals. In our division of human services, we work with individuals that have mental health concerns or substance use concerns in a variety of ways. Crisis therapy, case management services, just a variety of different ways. And then we also have within our organization several other areas: child protection, economic support, helping people get their benefits, long-term support, working with individuals that birth through adult, and then so we have lots of options we can.
Thank you all. Did you all get time to write down any questions? You still want some more? We got more time. Good. Good. We're gonna start with Heather. This question is just dated today. What does it look like now? I mean, what did it look like before you were like real important? Or whatever. However you want to answer that question. It's up to you.
All right. So I think for me, my career has kind of changed along the way. I paid for college as a server, bartender my entire way through, which was a fabulous opportunity for me to feel comfortable coming and talking in groups of people like this. So my first job in the field I was a guardianship case manager. So I worked with individuals that weren't able to make their own decisions and helped do that piece. And then I also did some child welfare work. So worked with kiddos and their families to try and ensure that the kids were safe with where they were at and that the families had the support that they needed to be able to parent the kids that were in their home. I've done some inpatient work where I've worked on an inpatient unit. If anybody likes like new and exciting things, that's a phenomenal job because every day is new and every day is different. Same with crisis. I did that for a long time. Really enjoy that. You never know what your day is going to look like. I've done some case management. Now my day-to-day, I sit in a lot of meetings, which is not always a ton of fun, but then some of them are fun. We work on things like our budget to make sure that everything's in line and people are getting the services that they need and we're being responsible with taxpayers' dollars. We look at different ways to provide services in the community, try to do some strategizing, working with a lot of other departments on how we can do things better, different. Some of the meetings that we attend are this is what's going on, or just getting information so we can all share it. We do a lot of team building activities for our teams as well. I don't know, that's kind of day to day. Probably I made it sound a little bit more exciting than it probably is most days. But yeah.
I started out my career in the DOC at the Drug Abuse Correctional Center here, DAP, where they do the ERP program, which is the earn release program for individuals with substance use issues. So I was a social worker and a sub-counselor there. And then I've transitioned to outpatient work at one of the local hospitals doing substance use counseling there for a few years. Then I transitioned to Winnebago County Human Services, where I kind of stayed in the substance use field and worked with adolescent. For those of you who want to work with adolescents, I think they're great to work with. They just will tell you the truth about how they feel about everything. And then I transitioned to working at our local jail, being the social worker and substance use counselor there, getting people kind of connected with services before they got out of our local jail. From there, I transferred into a supervisory role, working with individuals who are part of the criminal justice system, somehow had contact with our local courts for bond conditions, which would have been drug or alcohol related. They would be put on bond, and then we were the ones who monitored it, along with helping with diversions from the DA's office that were mental health or substance use related. And then there are some treatment courts that I also was involved in, like drug court we have here in the county. And recently, about a year ago, we started mental health court. So those are for individuals who have some type of charge that would divert them, for drug court, divert them from going to prison. And mental health court, the hope is to help them kind of get back into society, or to stay into the community, but not get so much police contact. And then less than a month ago, I started in my new position. So I'm just learning it right now, but the hope is to, with that State Street Center that I had talked about the first question, the hope is to kind of get that more involved in groups and programming and services and all that type of stuff. So that's kind of where the direction is right now. So.
Day to day, it depends on the project that I'm working on at the museum and what, and kind of where in the stage of that is. I'm responsible for curating all of the exhibitions that we produce in-house at the museum, and then also bringing in traveling exhibitions. So it just sort of depends. So some days are more in office, sending emails, kind of planning stages. Some days are more research focused, diving into the archives or, ancestry.com, or newspapers.com. And then other days are more physical, installing the exhibitions. So putting artifacts in cases, dealing with, laying out the space. I do a lot of writing for my job as well. So it just kind of depends. And then part of my job as assistant director is also more of the less interesting admin stuff that is still very important. So budgeting, or assisting with budgeting and things. I do supervise some staff, so then of course there's like annual review season, things like that. And then there's, just an alarm go off, just kind of responding to those sorts of things. So kind of depends on the day.
It's an old joke that if you're good enough engineer and not being an administrator, then just make you an administrator. So you're well on your way. It's going well.
Yeah.
My day to day, I think similar vibes, at least from like Emily's. My position as management analyst was kind of created, and I was kind of brought in to help take over some of the administrative burden, for lack of a better phrase, from some of our higher level administrators within our department, so they can focus more on the other aspects of the role out in the field. So like I go through budget analysis, statistical analysis, policy and procedural development for the entire division, capital improvement projects, helping assist with that on a month-to-month basis. So all the projects I worked on, they differ widely. Emily and I are currently collaborating on installing some historical signage, interpretive designs over by Lakeshore Park, kind of showcasing all the different aspects of the history of that location, from glaciers to the golf course that was there, and a bunch of other facets. I'm currently working with like stakeholders on collecting donations for a unique memorial project going down by the Riverwalk within the next few months this summer. On the other hand, I do a lot of that, help out with a lot of the day-to-day stuff out of our just front office, selling boat launch stickers, shelter reservations, assisting with the cemetery staff, or if someone has questions about internments and grave sites, and if they need any type of assistance down there. So it's a wide variety of stuff. And I think if we ever get to the question about like what kind of advice I'm going to give to you, I'm going to talk about adaptability. So that's it in a nutshell.
Question. Good call, Tom. We might ask that one next.
All right, so broadly speaking, I manage day-to-day services for adults at the public library. We have a very busy reference desk on the second floor. We help people in a variety of ways, navigating technology, fashion services like finding books. I'm also part of the library's management team, set strategic direction and set expectations, develop policies and procedures. I spend time myself at the reference desk working with people, but I'm largely a manager.
So my day to day, what it looks like, I work with clients on my caseload, and I go into the community to meet them at like where they live and make sure that their mental health is okay. I really like assess how they're doing, making sure that they're attending all their psychiatric appointments, taking their medications, basic needs like housing, food, making sure like if they have Social Security or Medicaid, Medicare, all that is kind of like a catch-all into part of like what I do day to day. There's a part like also working with the court system, working with corporation counsel, because a lot of my clients are under what's called a Chapter 51 mental health commitment. So they're court ordered to take medications. So working with the court system too, to make sure that they're adhering to all their commitments.
Talk about Mendota. How that different?
Yeah. So before I worked at the county, I worked at Mendota Mental Health Institute. So that is an inpatient hospital for patients who are deemed NGI, so not guilty by due to mental disease or defect. And if they were found by the judge to be too dangerous to be in the community, they would go to Mendota. And the unit that I was on at Mendota was the competency unit. So if an attorney can say, oh, I don't think that this client is or knows kind of what the court language is, and they're like not behaving, I would say competent. A lot of times it is like mental health symptoms. They'll raise competency, and they would come to my unit and we would assess their competency and like make sure that they have all their housing taken care of when they do go into the community, and they're connected with their county to make sure they have mental health services and they have a place to get medications and see the doctor. So it's like inpatient versus now that I'm at Outagamie County, it's outpatient. So I'm actually going into their homes and making sure that they're doing okay and they don't have to go back to the hospital ever.
So I oversee the Community Health and Prevention Division in our Public Health Department, which is one of 6 divisions. So it's a part of what we do in public health. And our division looks at the social determinants of health through a policy and systems change lens, which is a lot of words to essentially mean that instead of doing direct service, which is a really important piece of what a lot of people do, we try to change our big institutions and our policies that are set to make health better for folks. And so we work on like housing and sometimes transportation, child trauma prevention, basic needs. And then we also do a lot of substance use and overdose prevention work. And so my day-to-day can change a lot. day to day, which is one thing I really love about my job. So one of the things that I oversee is a syringe access program and a Narcan program. So I can go from covering that program and meeting with a person who uses drugs to meeting with an elected official to talk about something that's going on, to meeting with one of my team members to celebrate an accomplishment or a win, or talk through a challenge that they're having and do some mentoring or coaching to work through that problem, to then being in the community and talking with a community coalition or advocates to figure out what our next strategy is going to be. And so it's a job that requires a lot of constant movement and willingness to just keep switching gears and move in a kind of agreed upon direction that is going to look a lot like this. And it's pretty fantastic.
Keeping with the theme, my day also depends on what's happening that day and what role I'm in. So if I am the designated autopsy technician, I am down in the autopsy suite with the pathologist, assisting him with the autopsies. His main role down there is with the organs and cause and manner of death, and I just help facilitate the autopsy so that it moves quickly and efficiently. We can do up to 3 a day, so that'd be like from like 9 until like 1 p.m. I can be down there, or we can do 1 and I can be back upstairs by 10:30. If I am in the death investigator role, we are looking at medical records, talking to primary care physicians about any medical history, talking to families about next steps and results and everything like that, coordinating with toxicology, crime lab, responding to death scenes. So some days I am the first one who gets called, some days I am the second one that gets called. So it just kind of depends on what's happening in the county. So we are in charge of all of Fond du Lac County, and then we do autopsies for Winnebago, Calumet, just a bunch of different counties. So it can be a busy day, or it can just be waiting for the phone to ring.
But you got what you need to wait. This girl will want to hear what you need to wait. And tell them. Discount to you.
No, that's fine. So I didn't share because I thought I was here as the town supervisor elected, but I'm also newly retired, but I'm terrible at it, so I still am there part-time. I used to be the CEO for Oshkosh Area United Way, and prior to that, I was the executive director for Christine Ann Domestic Abuse Services. So I'm in the nonprofit world, which is actually what led me into an elected position, because I wanted to see change, and I hate people that complain about nothing changing, but they don't do anything about it, or they don't go to meetings. So that's how I got involved with that. As a part-time, now my day-to-day is just waiting for the new CEO to tell me what she wants me to help her with. So I'm helping with the transition. In my elected day-to-day is half complaint department, because I serve my town and the constituents in my town. There's about 2,700, and people think, well, that's tiny and it can't be that much, but our government is also very tiny. So there's about 5 of us, including the town clerk. So that means it's kind of all hands on deck. We're making decisions from everything from what ambulance and EMS service to use. Do we recontract with the city, or do we go out on our own and contract with a third party? We're looking at town-wise, we're looking at whatever any kind of legislation or ordinances that might be coming down from the county that would impact the town. Talking to people, how do you feel about this? And because I represent the town, I may not agree with what they want, but I'm supposed to be representing the majority of the town. So I have to really understand how people feel about it, make sure they understand what's happening. It is a paid position too. A lot of people don't realize that being on a supervisory board is you're doing it unpaid. So it is a paid position. So at least there's some compensation for a lot of the time that I'm getting calls throughout the night.
I guess my day-to-day, the best way I would like to describe it is I have Google Calendar days and I have Phidias and Ferb days. I'm serious. And so a Google Calendar day, what I typically do is like, no 2 days are alike. I respond to any members and departments. I attend a lot of community events on behalf of the mayor's office. There's a ton of strategic planning I'm doing both internally and externally, just trying to make sure that we're being thoughtful and inclusive in anything that we're doing as the city of Appleton on all levels. So I get to work with our internal departments, but I get to work with a ton of our true stakeholders in the city of Appleton. There's all sorts of stuff that I get an opportunity to be part of and have my fingerprints on. That's one type of day. The other type of day, the Phidias and Ferb day, that's where the mayor walks in the office and says, "Hey, guess what we're gonna do today?" And I have no idea. And it's an adventure. And that is true local government at the political politician level.
That was a statement. Have you all had a chance to write a question on your note cards? All right, ask them and at least they're gonna grab them up. While they grab them up, we're gonna give it the panel an opportunity to give you all advice. The question is something to the effect of, what advice would you give to them or your former self, knowing what you know now? What would you do differently? What would you like to tell them? Mostly so that if they're applying for jobs with you, this would be something they could tell you that they value. Take a moment. We'll start with Tyler. And I'll, figure out a way. If we get the time to get the notes in. Gosh. Check out my. No, we're going out of order, so it's all up with throat. All right, well, they're grabbing that. Tyler, the question is, so we got audience for young people here, college students interested in public service. What advice would you give to them, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I guess just based off of just my personal experience, mainly within the last couple of years, just working at two institutions, University of Oshkosh and within the city. My roles at each organization tended to change quite a bit year to year. Not just in title, but just in overall responsibility of what I was doing. And that's just due to changing priorities with leadership and changing needs of whoever you're serving, albeit the students or just the general population of your city or your town. And so I reflect on this often because disclaimer, within the next month or two, I'm actually going to be getting an entirely new position description. My job's changing again to something almost completely different what I'm currently doing. Going into educational programming, event stuff out of our department. It's very different than being a management analyst and analyzing budgets day to day. So it's just reflecting on that. It's just my ability. I had to rely on my ability to adapt a lot to just changing circumstances, either day to day, week to week, stuff like that. And looking back, if I really wasn't able to do that, I don't really think I would have been able to continue through a lot of stuff where I would have been not failing at my job, but just not doing achieving as much success as I could. So I think looking back on that, what really helped me out is going through those tough times and adapting and to keep moving forward. I think is the one thing.
Maya, you got advice?
Sure. I would say wherever you guys are working or have your internships, just don't be afraid to ask your supervisor where else you can be involved in and areas you can grow. I think it's been really important to me and throughout my education and now my careers, I am always asking my supervisor areas I can grow in or what I can be involved in throughout the rest of the company, because that's really kind of how you learn more and gain more experience. There's always different things you can do at your job to learn more and experience more. I also think being involved in the community, learning who you're working with, if you guys are interested in community service, volunteering is really great. Learning who the community is, who you're serving and your population. I think volunteering in the community is also really important.
Does anybody else want to give advice of hand? Some of the questions were assigned to you. That's some advice, Molly.
Yeah, just in basic, just generally, your dream job right now in your early 20s might not be the dream job in your 30s. When I was graduating, I wanted to be Bones 2.0. I wanted to be the best forensic anthropologist there was. I'd be digging all the time. I worked one summer for a corporation for resource management archaeology. Never again. So my views shifted and I learned about medical legal death investigation and I got a job in Brown County. That was a whole different ballgame. That was 12-hour shifts. You're all by yourself, took care of 3 counties, days, nights. Ugh. So that was unsustainable, especially because it was during peak COVID. And then I got a job at the DA's office, which I told myself it was adjacent. So if your dream job is unavailable to you right now, look for something that is in relation to it. We work with criminal justice, forensic science. I wanted to see, okay, so I responded to a scene that was deemed a homicide. What happens at the district attorney's office once my part was done on the scene? And I ended up having a wonderful 5-year experience at the DA's office, giving my expertise when I could to death investigations and learning new things that made me valuable to the office. And now I am as close to my dream role as I can be with the autopsy technician and the death investigator. Never thought I would be able to do autopsies because fresh, everyone reacts differently to that. And I thought that could never be me, but I ended up loving it. So if it doesn't work out when you're 21, 22, keep looking, keep finding relevant avenues to where you want to be and just keep working at it and don't give up.
And I've hired a ton of people, and going off of what Molly said, if you can tie your job to the job you're applying to, so it may not look like a connection. So I had somebody who wanted to work in the development department at Christine Ann, and they came from banking. Okay, how's that relatable? But they came in and talked about how they were relationship builders and they are talking to people about money all the time. So they were able to connect that into the development fundraising. So that showed critical thinking. That showed that they were well-rounded. That showed that they're going to use their past experience to better themselves. That showed they want to grow. And it was just, that was the person that we hired. So if you're working serving, you're working at a bar, what experiences can you pull from that job that may not seem relatable on your resume to tie it to the job you're looking for? That's where you use your cover letter. In the cover letter, I don't need you to say all of your experiences that are on your resume. In your cover letter is how you tie your resume to the job that you want. And that's what always impressed me the most, when somebody could say, this is what I'm doing, and it may not look on paper like I'm a fit, but this is why I'm a fit.
Those were 2 of the 3 things on my list, was make a great cover letter and don't be afraid to make a change. The other thing I would add is relationships matter. Don't ever burn a bridge. We were talking about this on our way in, is that you never know when you're going to run into somebody again. You may think that you met somebody briefly one time or you'll never work with that person again, and then you'll end up on a panel.
Look, passionate people say passionate things.
But your relationships with people matter, and it's important to hang on to those and just remember not to burn bridges.
Go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, something somewhat similar. As I've gotten older, it's become really important to me in life to make connections with as many people as I can, real life connections to people. Every once in a while, they pay off in like a really tangible way. So like in my life, like I'm able to offer some new service or a program at the library, or I connect with a potential donor. But more often, it's just really the satisfaction of being connected to people, getting to know people, feeling like I'm a part of something. Some of that I think just comes with age, but I wish I had figured that out earlier. Get out, go to things like this, meet people, ask a lot of questions. It's very satisfying, very rewarding.
I also think that when you're interviewing, when you're the interviewee and you're getting asked all these questions, it doesn't always feel like you can ask questions back. Make sure wherever you're choosing to work and going to work fits and it feels good and you trust your gut. Like work somewhere where you feel like you're going to actually enjoy going in every day, because 40 hours a week is a lot of awake time. So just make sure you're happy there too.
And going off of Heather, yes, the people you work with almost becomes like a pseudo family to you, right? Because enjoying what you do and who you work with is important. Otherwise, especially in like the work I do, or some of us up here do, it would be hard to go day to day and work with the individuals we work with if we didn't have that grounding, like sounding board to go off of and talk to.
If I could add, work-life balance is important. And at a previous position, we had a really small staff and I was younger and, so it was sort of like, yeah, I'll just put all my energy, throw myself into my job, and which I was passionate about, but I definitely burned myself out. That impacted my mental health and my, it can affect your performance at work too. So just having that, it's great when you find something you're passionate about, to be your career and your job, but it's good to have some things outside of that as well, whatever that may be for you. So.
To read. It's a tough default. That was a long good. It's good luck. I didn't even. We are going. 9 of them.
Oh, God.
My advice, as you pre-interview, any of that, while you are here in this amazing setting with all of these individuals who are trying to create a better world, a better life, through education, educating themselves and stuff, make sure you diversify your service. I can't express how important that is, because what's going to end up happening is if you go into government, your job is to serve. And you don't get to choose who you serve. You serve your resident, you serve your taxpayers. They're going to be all sorts of people. And what you've got to have is enough background to know how to meet them where they're at. Or else you're going to give really poor service, even though you may be an amazing person that wants to provide service. Expand your circles, meet more people. Make sure you know how to meet people where they're at. All sorts of people.
So this is good. This good. The answer goes right into this next question. Timber, you're nailed it so far. All right, this question comes to me like, as someone whose job is described as a civil servant, how do you walk the fine line of doing what is right to protect the public and keeping your personal morals and values in check with what is going on in this political and legal climate? You know, I just put it on the elbows and pass this card around. I will make Timber go first, but I will hand it the card to see who wants to handle that one.
Yeah, so obviously I work with very sensitive information and very sensitive topics. Right to protect the public and keeping your personal morals and values. I don't even think of them when I'm doing my job. My job is to focus on the victim. My job is to focus on the family and to give everyone the same amount of effort and care as everyone else. Every autopsy is standardized, procedural. There might be a little bit of tweaks here and there, but I give the same effort and care to each person because their families are waiting for me to call them and talk to them about their loved one. Same thing being on a scene. Every scene is treated with professionalism. I don't care if it was a drug overdose. I don't care if it was a natural death. Every scene is treated the exact same way. My thought process is always everything is a homicide until proven otherwise. And I start that with every scene and I treat everybody the same. You talk to family members. I don't talk to the media, thankfully, but you talk to family members and you talk to law enforcement with the same care and professionalism every single time, just drilling that into your head.
Are we all answering this?
No, you can just pass it down. No, that question, you wanna handle it wrong, though?
This is hard.
I guess.
This is really
it's a
hard. I
good
mean,
question.
whoever wrote
Go
this
ahead.
question,
Good question.
kudos.
Stop.
But yeah, this is really hard because we're in a tough climate. Like that is no joke, but kudos to whoever wrote this. You know, I think that, especially in public health right now, like public health is political. Paula Tran, our state health officer, said some really amazing words at a conference that I was recently at, and I'm going to completely butcher them because I'm trying to think of what she said. But one of the things we often talk about in public health is that, you know, we're not all healthy until all of us are healthy. So we can't be looking at population level health unless we're really looking at the people in our population that have the most disparate outcomes, the people that our systems and our institutions are not paying attention to, that the systems and institutions are not designed to give the best care to. And I think the role of public health is to look at those things and try to figure out what do we do to change them. And I think that that's always been the role of public health. And unfortunately, right now, that is very political. And so my personal opinions and my job is a weird mixture of chaos right now. And we all work really hard to navigate that and to also, you know, do our jobs as we are called in public health to do it. And my director is sitting right there and I'm feeling very nervous. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand this over.
That question leads into the question that the three of you have, protecting indigenous populations. Can you read that question and answer it?
Sure.
So the question was, for those of you who work in museums, anthropology, and parks, how do you work to protect Indigenous communities in instances where cultural sites are discovered or impacted? So for instance, the recent discovery in Winnebago Park, and then how do you keep museums and public spaces respectful?
Good question.
So yeah, this is a great question. And so the biggest thing is include Native people in Native matters. So I guess there's kind of a saying that's nothing about us without us. And so for instance, speaking first from the museum perspective, is if we do an exhibition, and we have a long-term exhibition called People of the Waters, representatives from the Ho-Chunk and Menominee nations were included in the planning for that exhibition. We also steward ethnographic materials from Native communities, prehistoric and historic artifacts. And not only do we have an ethical obligation, best standards and practices in the museum to take care of those, but also consult with Native communities about, and I'm getting to this, but there's actually a federal law called the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation, NAGPRA, Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. And it's legislation from 1990. So it has been around for a long time. And it's federal law that museums, or any institution that receives public funding that has these collections from Native Americans are anything that is classified as a grave good or or ancestors, so human remains, had to be inventoried, and then the tribes that are affiliated with those artifacts or ancestors had to be notified, and then they would be given an opportunity to repatriate those items or individuals, meaning removed from the museum's collection and returned to that community. And so
Every one of you learned something here tonight, and that was it.
did it. So, no, well, I'm glad someone asked this question because it, and so there have actually been updates to this law. I won't get it. It's very complicated. There are webinars, trainings we have to go to help us understand all of the different things we have to do to be in compliance. So there's compliance with the letter of the law, but then there's also compliance with the spirit of the law. So even things that are not, you know, this was found in a, you know, in a grave site. If it was, we're broadly interpreting things to provide the chance to repatriate essentially anything that most of our collection is from Menominee or Ho-Chunk, if they would like it returned. So anyway, we actually have we hired a dedicated staff person to go through our records. We'll be starting consultations with tribes, hopefully this summer. So we are actively working towards, we already repatriated the individuals that were collected by archaeologists and given to the museum. We've been around for 100 years, back in the 20s, 30s, 40s. They have been returned, but there are still items in the collection that are grave goods, that were, you know, like found in graves. Anyway, so we're working to continue resolving this. It's an ongoing process. So we wanted, but we're doing this in consultation with Native tribes, with their TIPOs, that's the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer. And that's who we would work with, and that's who the city worked with as well as the CRM, Cultural Resource Management, with the excavations in Menominee Park that this question specifically asked about. And so all of those, except for a few samples, everything at Menominee Park was preserved in place. So nothing was removed. It was excavated when the road was being repaired, and those items or anything found was preserved in place, because that is what the tribes, Menominee and Ho-Chunk, because historically this would have been their land, is their land, because that is what they wanted. So I could go on and on, but I'm sorry, I'm right now. Anyway,
that was awesome.
But basically, nothing about us without us is kind of the goal for us.
Do you guys want to take a credit at the key to your personal morals? Otherwise, Molly's got a question.
Actually, I think I also have one for Amy too. It says Emily, but I feel like reading it.
Oh, yeah, here's one. Yes, you do. If it's about museums, well, don't figure.
No, it's about working at the DOC, so I'm assuming it's for you. Am I going?
Go ahead.
Or do you want to go?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right, as a nursing student, are there any roles for new grad nurses in forensic/autopsy? If so, any advice? What is it like for your role? We actually have a nurse as one of our on-call staff. So our on-call, which this is super rare and is super awesome for our office. On-call starts at 5 p.m. and ends at 7 a.m. So they're usually retirees. Vicki, who is the nurse, she works at the local hospital. She manages a retirement home. And she is a death investigator, just like the rest of us. We take a certification test, which I'm taking mine this month, for certification for the American Medical Legal Death Investigation Board, something like that. What? I know, right? But so she's qualified, just like the rest of us, if anything more so, because we read hundreds of pages of medical records a week. So knowing prescriptions, knowing comorbidities and past medical history, surgeries, that terminology is going to come real quick for any nursing students. We also sign death certificates for the state, and having that background, you're going to be able to pinpoint immediate cause of death, intermediate, manner of death. So there's a lot of opportunity. I know there's also forensic nursing, which is like same exams, and you work closely with the criminal justice system. But if my advice, we are always open for shadowers and interns. Matt has been bugging me for years about interns, so he will continue to do so. So if anyone would like to come shadow for the day, our pathologist does a very good job, whole comprehensive. You can watch an autopsy, you can do a ride along, anything like that. So.
Let's see that. No pressure or nothing.
It says I have applied to work as a nurse extern at the DOC. How do you serve those people with therapeutic relationship while also maintaining professional boundaries? Any advice? So I'll just say the DOC population is similar to the population that we would work with when it comes to like what we do at Human Services. Those professional boundaries. It's okay to form a, I want to say relationship, but
There's a working relationship.
a working
It's like,
relationship
yeah,
with
a
the individual, a rapport with the individual you're working with, but keeping up those boundaries of not talking about like your personal life or anything. It's about the client you're working with. When it comes to individuals in the DOC, the big difference would be they have a lot of time on their hands. They have nothing better to do. So they like to read people and watch people and kind of see if there's somebody they can get a little more connected with or closer to than another individual. So working in the DOC, they give you great resources in that as well, so that you can keep that barrier up and not get involved with being staff shopped, I guess is word for it.
That's important that they all should know.
Yeah.
Staff, good work, Geffers.
Thank you.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. But it's keeping that relationship professional and not showing that somebody is maybe intimidating you or upsetting you. Yeah. Got to keep poker face. That's another good one.
That is some staff job is so good though.
Yeah.
So I can't believe this is gonna be the last Flip's question, but Timber, what is your question? And please answer it.
Okay. How has your education in sociology helped you in your current position with working with the mayor? Sociology, like what I can tell you when I was here at UWO, if it had sociology in the title, I took that class. So there was like sociology of family, sociology of movies, sociology, right? And the thing about all those sociology classes was they taught me about people and people in environments. And that is exactly what serving the public is in government. So it just made me thoughtful in my approaches as I interact with people. This question makes me kind of want to go back to the other question about like the political climate right now. And I'm lucky enough to have a leader who truly believes in local government nonpartisanship. And he holds it up like a badge. You'd be hard pressed to find anything out there on the internet to put him in a party or in alignment with a specific party. Of course, there's politics, but not party-wide. That being said, it helps the rest of us also do that. What I've learned, where when you have to interact with those who may not politically align with you, at the end of the day, no matter what side of it you stand on or in the middle, what everybody typically wants from the government first is to at least be heard. They just want to be heard. And if you can get the hearing part done without judgment, they're usually okay when you have to tell them no, or we don't have those services, or we cannot provide that, but you got to get the hearing part done. If you say no before you hear, you're disenfranchising those taxpayers, you're disenfranchising their community, you're disenfranchising the people, your constituents. That hearing and listening to your people, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. That is beyond and above the political climate. So add that to the lessons. When you go out there and you're a professional, lead with listening. You'll be surprised how far it gets you.
I'm not disappointed that was the last question. That's the last Phil's question. So let's take a look. Flip fellows are going upstairs. Thank you for coming. Everybody else, go home.